Hey, it's Abby from Turn Sounds. Be careful if you use mouthwash. It can kill your good mouth bacteria.
Hi, I'm Shelby. I'm a clinical exercise physiologist.
And I'm Abby, a clinical nutritionist. And this is the Move Your Mind podcast,
where we talk all things diet, exercise and well-being and back it up with evidence
from our Bachelor of Health Science degrees. So welcome and let's get into it.
Hello. How you doing, Abby?
I'm good.
Good.
It's the morning. We're recording earlier than usual. Feels strange. My voice is croaky because I haven't spoken much today.
If there are a few more throat clearings than normal, it's because it's 10 o'clock in the morning and we're a bit not quite into it yet.
Let's switch our brains on.
Which is unusual for me. Usually I'm up, every other day I start work at 6. So I'm like,
this is like
5
lunchtime.
a.m. I'm like, good.
Yeah.
But on my off days, I'm like, I'm chill, I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Takes a bit. We'll be good.
We've got to work out after this.
We do.
So today's chat might be quite helpful for us.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about how many reps you should be doing for each kind of exercise and with different sets and maybe the different goals they might achieve from an endurance, muscle growth and strength training perspective.
Yeah. I feel like this is kind of like nutrition where there's so much information out there and everyone's trying to do the right thing because they see Model A on Instagram doing a tricep and they think that's the only way to grow your booty.
Absolutely.
And you're going to tell us.
Yes.
The facts.
Absolutely.
And how they actually help.
Exactly.
Okay.
Good. Cool. So we're just going to kind of jump straight into it.
Yeah.
As far as if we look at how to set up reps and sets, we've typically got 3 goals that we might look at. So they are endurance, which is making your muscle be able to go for longer periods of time with less fatigue at lower loads. We're looking at muscle hypertrophy, which is growing your muscle size. So we're looking at individual fibers and like overall size of your muscles.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at pure strength gains. So just like how strong you are as our 3 like separate but not separate goals of training.
Can I already ask a question?
Absolutely.
Could you assume that strength and hypertrophy always go together?
Strength comes with hypertrophy. Hypertrophy doesn't necessarily come with strength.
Right.
Which we will get into.
Oh, that's exciting.
So if you get bigger muscles, you'll get stronger. But you can get stronger without necessarily getting bigger muscles. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I'm picturing a Venn diagram in my head. Yeah. And I'm like, which ones overlap?
More like, like a continuum of overlapping.
Yeah.
More like
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it is.
I'm excited about this episode, actually.
Cool.
Very much interested in
this.
Nice.
So we'll start off with like the kind of the guidelines in a sense as far as what you will be told. And then we'll kind of divert from there and they'll tell you why this, maybe why not. And kind of the intricacies or the grey areas that they don't necessarily talk about.
Adding some human experience to it rather than just textbook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So typically if we are wanting endurance benefits, we're looking at 15 plus repetitions. So bicep curl is really easy. I'm doing 15 bicep curls per set for endurance. Good. I'm just going to start there. It's already going to go
too far.
Let's just stop there. For muscle growth, hypertrophy, typically we're looking at 8 to 12 repetitions per set. So you can see the reps are a bit lower.
And the idea is less reps because the weight you will be lifting is heavier.
So that's what I was going to go into.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. And then we've got strength range is 1 to 5 reps. Yeah. So exactly that. Then you've got this curve of load to reps. As far as if you're doing more reps, your load will be lighter because obviously it's pretty easy to understand that if you can lift something 15 times, it'll be lighter than the thing you can only lift 5 times. So 5 reps, we're looking at much heavier load. 15 reps, you're looking at a much lighter load.
Yes.
Because you need to be able to complete the reps.
Yes.
So that kind of is
at a proper form, and that's important.
Yeah, so that's understandable. So that's kind of where that is as far as also what we're dealing with. If we want endurance gains, endurance is a lower load activity in a sense. So you're going to be working with lower loads.
Yeah.
If you're working at strength gains, you're looking at picking something up that's really heavy. We only do that a couple times. So that's reflected in the training style as far as only a few. If we're thinking of like the Olympic lifters that do 3 reps in a competition.
Yeah.
Then that's all. You have to do 3 reps and you're trying to PR on a stage, kind of thing. So you are reflecting your
goals.
Performance. Yeah. Yeah.
And goals as well. Like most people will train endurance, strength, hypertrophy for what they want to achieve.
Correct.
I guess.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And then we start getting into, an endurance runner needs strength training.
Yes.
That's a massive thing in the research at the moment. Yeah. They're doing enough endurance. They've got enough stress on their body from actually the running, swimming, cycling, whatever they're doing. Why are you going to low level, high volume them in the gym as well? And they can really do well with the lower strength rep ranges. So another thing to consider is the effect on your central nervous system. So your CNS.
Yes, all the nerves that come through from your brain down your spinal cord that feed through to your limbs.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, so a really simplified version of that. Yeah, is brain, a nerve that connects your brain to your muscle. And we're looking at that system.
Yep.
And its impact in this kind of training.
Motor nerve.
Yeah, it's good. Upper and lower motor neurons. Oh, amazing.
Yes. Terminology is coming back.
So, typically your higher rep ranges are less taxing on your central nervous system. So your endurance range is easier on your central nervous system because it's more dealing with what's happening at the muscle, in the fact that we would get that muscle burn.
Yeah.
And it's more if we're talking about lactic acid buildup and whatever stuff is happening at a muscular level. But if you've ever done lower rep lifts, you don't necessarily get a muscle burn. It's just heavy. It's just I can't lift this up another time.
Yeah.
And that's more to do with that neural signal getting tired. And so what we're looking at in training, which will probably be a nice segue into that middle section of hypertrophy, is yes, we can affect the muscle with training. We can make it bigger. That's pretty much what we're doing. We're making it bigger.
That's the goal.
Or we're influencing the different fiber types. Do we want it to move fast or do we want it to move slow?
Yeah.
But another major component of training is the central nervous system training. So we're training your brain to know when to fire different muscle groups or fibers in different orders. We're getting better at one motor neuron influencing more fibers at once, so that with one little information send from your brain, you've got more happening in the muscle. So that's going to be happening, and you'll get better at coordination, which is kind of all those things together.
Is CNS activation a big part of rehab? Because I'm just thinking when I broke my elbow, because I didn't use my arm for so long, I remember when I came out of my sling, it took so much neural energy to move my arm because my CNS hadn't been stimulated in that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and we'll definitely get into that because from a scoliosis perspective, I would also...
Yes.
So that's where I would prescribe higher reps, because I need more concentration from you the whole time that's very active. I don't need you to be really tired from a brain perspective.
Yeah.
Because I need you to be checking in. I want the muscle burn because I want you to feel the area that we're rehabbing or that we're focusing on. So I would use a higher rep range initially to get that check-in back.
Yeah.
So this is where it kind of goes. This is typically what you see, but in practice.
And for anyone that's not familiar with scoliosis, the idea is it is a crooked spine. It's often an S-shaped curve. So instead of straight up and down with a usual spine, scoliosis.
If you're looking from behind,
yes, scoliosis, you tend to have a deviation to the right, to the left, a little bit like a noodle. I can say that because I have scoliosis. And there's a lot of, strength. There's a lot of benefits to strength training or endurance training for that, because you can strengthen the muscles to support the kind of areas that Oh, how do you even
So
explain
like
that?
with a curve, like our spine goes straight up and down. So the muscles either side have like a fair chance of working.
Yes.
You have a curve this way. So one side tends to get really tight.
Yes, and the other side is like a collapse.
Yeah. So you typically get muscle bulk differences where one side of the back musculature is like, I'm so good at working, let me do everything for you. And the other one that's all stretched is like, yeah, cool, I'm just chilling, like, no worries.
Yep, and then the one that loves to work gets really freaking tight and painful.
Not necessarily strong because it's tired all the time because it's doing everything.
Yes.
So higher reps is useful to be like, this one, please. Turn off this one, please. So it allows you to like, in a low risk environment, because the weight is lighter, because you're doing more reps.
Yeah.
And it allows you in a low risk environment to repetitiously practice something that is going to change your motor patterning.
Yeah. And also because back to the, if you don't use it,
You
the
lose.
CNS, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Absolutely true.
Like in the collapse area, you don't have the like neurons firing to that muscle. So if you're then to do like intense strength, which requires a lot of CNS work, you actually don't have the capability to fire up that muscle.
Correct.
And you're going to be using, in little quotation, the wrong ones.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what I found with my training. If I go too heavy,
Yeah.
I just get that intense pain on the wrong side that's already firing too much because I need to slow it down and work on the endurance so I feel the muscle burn.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is really satisfying for you.
In terms of results.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love this chat because I feel like training, people can get into such a rut with training just being for aesthetic goals. Like you train to look a certain way, and like this chat is like, training is so much more than that. I am the biggest nerd. I have goosebumps talking about this because I'm so passionate about it. And like, it's so good to hear from you that's so knowledgeable because you can create new nerve fibers and new nerve firing patterns.
Connections and better understanding of how things work.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you can change the way your body works for the better.
Absolutely.
Like reduce pain.
Yeah.
Oh, freaking love it.
That's a whole thing. I'd love to talk about pain one day. And just checking in your elbow, like I'm imagining you had a cast on or some kind of immobilization.
Yeah, I had rods in with a sling.
Yeah. So like it's not moving for ages. So of course you're going to like dampen the connection your brain has to the area because it's not moving.
Yeah.
And our brain responds to input.
Yeah.
So if you don't get input from anything, it's kind of like, all right.
And muscle starts to shrink
Atrophy.
a little bit.
Oh,
I remember how tiny my arm was when I took off my sling. I was like, it's bone.
Even recently with your moon boot, your calf muscle just about disappeared.
I've been through
How
the
is that
ringer.
going?
It's going good.
Oh, good. Do you have a calf muscle again?
A little bit. I've never had big calves. Like, it's just not something in my nature. But I went for a run this morning, held up well.
Nice. Nice and springy.
Yeah.
Good.
Felt good.
Good.
It's
Amazing.
all right.
Anyway. Cool.
Off track again.
So, useful to you, because I feel like recently the higher reps, lower load has gotten a bit of a bashing as far as like, doesn't do anything, it's not going to get you what you want.
Yeah.
And that from a muscle growth perspective, like, yes, I don't think lower loads are going to grow muscle because it's just not enough stimulus to create the changes we need.
Yep.
So I agree with that, but it's not useless.
Yep.
And I will typically start my new clients, new to exercise clients, on a 12 rep set.
Yes.
Again, it's lower risk because the weight isn't as heavy. They're dealing with technique and learning the movement, so I need it to be lower risk. And their tolerance to exercise is like almost
much lower than the usual person.
Yes.
That could,
So I need to start off easy. I'm after a long-term commitment from them. So if I kill them in the first session, who wants to go back to the thing that made you sore for 5 days? Like no one. So I need to enter into it gradually. So my new clients are going to start around a 12 rep.
Yeah.
Maybe even higher range.
Yeah.
Depending on
Goals.
what I judge
cetera.
from how they can like move their body already.
Yeah.
But then I typically like to very quickly, within the month, move or based on maybe two sessions a week.
Yeah.
Probably within the month I can start changing things.
Yeah.
Kind of depends on how the person is going or what else things they're doing. But I like an 8 rep set. Personally doing them myself, I think 10 is too many. 12, I kind of get bored. I'm like, oh, when is this over?
I agree.
So I like 8.
Yeah.
I think mainstream has told us 3 by 10.
Yeah.
So I
that's
have
very
a lot of
common.
clients who are like, why are you stopping at 8? Isn't it 10? Or like I do 12 and they're like, why isn't it 10? So that's a whole other thing as far as just like things that filter down through media.
I think, yeah.
And then just get stuck. So I don't like 10. Almost from a rebellious thing as well. I'm not going to do 10 reps.
How dare
that's
you.
what everyone else
Yes.
does.
Oh, Shelby.
So I do 8. So I like 8.
But 10 is okay.
Yes.
Anyone that's listening
10
that
is
does
fine.
10, you do you. Shelby just likes to be an individual.
It's just my little, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I do. I have so many clients who are on 10 because they're like, no, it makes more sense in my head. I'm like, whatever, it's fine. Like, it really is fine.
I'm going to stop and not watch. You just continue those last
Those
two.
last 2 reps don't count.
My eyes are closed.
No, it's fine. But that is typically our muscle growth
window.
Which is fine because typically people are needing to grow their muscle. If you're achy, if you're unfit, if you're wanting to tone up, which we will lead into, you need more muscle. And so it's absolutely fine to be in that range of muscle hypertrophy. I have to be careful when saying that to some clients because like, oh no, I don't want big muscles.
Yes.
And there's just such a range, which I believe we've touched on in the podcast before.
Lifting makes me bulky.
Yeah, actually, that was one of our first ones. There is such a range. You can build muscle quite happily before getting to what you would call bulky, which is big muscles.
And anyone that gets bulky, it does not happen by accident.
You cannot do it accidentally.
The amount of effort and time and prep and dedication that goes into getting the physique that I'm sure you're picturing in your head if you think bulky is insane.
Yeah. Miss mid-40s lady who's working out once or twice a week is not going to get big muscles. Like, it just is not
And even
possible.
like from me, a 22-year-old going to the gym doing strength training.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not bulky.
Yeah. So this is what we talk about. It takes years and years of consistent, hard, planned work to get big musculature.
Yeah.
Which is why so few people have it, because it's hard.
Do you think the bodybuilding would be like such a sport if everyone could do it?
Yeah, exactly.
If you just go to the gym 3 times a week and look like that, it wouldn't be such a big feat.
No.
People dedicate their lives
It's
to that
an
stuff.
elite performance that these people are seeking.
Oh, you will not look like that.
So absolutely muscle growth is necessary. And it's a really nice way to start off training. So athletes will do it, and I pretty much think you should train everyone like an athlete. And that covers a few different things as far as importance of nutrition, importance of recovery, importance of periodization, a whole bunch of stuff. But it's a nice way to do as far as you start in your hypertrophy phase, which is pretty much what I've been talking about, the 12 reps and then leading into the 8 reps. And then as experience goes, you would go into lower reps. So then I try and get my clients down to like, if it's within their goals and what they're wanting, if they want to work that hard, then I would like to drop them to the 6 rep range.
Yeah.
Build more strength. I feel like it builds resilience really well because it allows you to know that you can pick something heavy up. And I think that does wonders.
It's like mental conditioning, isn't it? Once again, training is so much more than aesthetics. It can build other aspects of your personality
and that's
almost.
really all I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
My ladies who I start this kind of training on have never felt so like powerful. Yeah. Because I've always done these lightweight things that are easy to do that you don't really stress you that much. You can do any day of the week, no worries.
Yeah.
But if you can really push through something you didn't think you could do, then that is like
that's so
cool.
good. The feeling is insane, hey?
It's amazing. Plus, when they actually start to build muscle, because they really probably have never had it, and you feel strong and you start to look the way you wanted to look.
But when your goals are coming from a strength and performance aspect and the aesthetics comes secondary, that's when it's like, oh, hell yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because the building of the muscle takes time.
Yeah.
For anything to happen from like an aesthetic point of view, has to be consistent and challenging and long term.
Yeah.
So if you're in it for those changes that are long-term changes, you get bored before they come.
Yeah.
Like there's not enough to make you keep on going, because it takes like 3 months for yourself to notice really anything happening. And if you don't see any changes for 3 months, like that's a long time.
And then you're going to fall off the bandwagon if you go into it with just wanting to change the way you look, because that won't happen, quickly.
So then what you focus on instead is, so typically, especially the population I'm working with now, they're all would be considered novice athletes as far as they don't have a massive exercise history. They're not currently training anything, not necessarily wanting to be athletes, but again, just treating people with that kind of thought process. So the really cool thing about being novice is you get all these really quick changes happening because of your central nervous system. So here is when I go, who cares about the weight? Who cares about the muscle mass number? Like, how do you feel? What's changing as far as you're feeling less fatigued? You're happier to come in. We are lifting more weight because you are getting more efficient. You are getting more coordinated. So within like the first 2 weeks of training, you'll be able to lift a reasonable amount more than when you started. Not because the muscle changed, but because how your brain functions has changed. And that's really exciting.
Yeah.
So in that first period, we're more than likely going to be sore no matter what you do. Like if you haven't done anything, you do anything and it hurts.
Yeah.
It's really nice to be able to see these changes happening. And then it's up to like a good coach will help you notice those as you go.
I've been thinking that in my head as we're talking in terms of like training for strength, your low rep range.
Yes.
For someone that's like not a trainer, would you say work with a trainer if you want to go into strength reps? Because I feel like that is a lot of load and you want to make sure you're doing it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you need to know what you're doing.
So don't just go to the gym, pick up, 150 kgs in a deadlift and be like, strength.
Yeah, exactly. Because it is so taxing, you need to have your form pretty understood. And you need to know how to lift heavy.
Yeah.
Which
someone
is a
to
different
spot you
kind
too.
of skill set. Yeah, absolutely. So it is possible to do by yourself. People do, but nothing. I think people won't do it by themselves. Like it's scary.
Yeah.
Like you just don't. Like half my clients, I will work one-on-one with anyway, but to build their confidence and that kind of stuff, so then they can do it by themselves.
Yeah,
it's scary. And
so
it
start with guidance.
Yeah, it takes quite a while to become familiar and confident with even like walking into a gym and picking up a barbell. Like I had a degree in exercise, and the first few times still in gym, I'm like, okay, like I should be here. I can do this. Like it's a real like
it is actually
insecurity. So it takes some time to be able to like walk in and be like, yep, that bar's mine. This space is mine. I'm going to move because then what height do you put the little racks on? Like there are all these things that if you don't know, it could be so overwhelming.
Yeah.
So, and that goes for any type of training you want to do, a trainer or a coach or whatever. It's really handy.
And just to start off, don't think about that you have to spend hundreds of dollars to keep this trainer forever. Like it's like seeing a nutritionist. Yeah. Get the education, get the foundations, get the confidence, and then you can do it yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good investment.
And most gyms have that kind of membership starting option. Like we definitely have one for like 2 weeks. You get all these one-on-ones, you get all the coaching.
Yeah.
And then if you want, you go off by yourself.
Spread your wings.
Yeah. Heavier loads are much harder on your central nervous system. So you need to prepare for them.
Yeah.
With months of previous training. But you're not also going to do them that often either because they are so taxing.
Yes.
So you get more bang for your buck in a sense with a heavier load, which means you do it and you don't have to do it almost. Depends. This is where it's hard to say hard and fast things because different people. Yeah. You would do that on end for months. So this is where your programming comes in and where you might do lower reps for a little while and then you would give your CNS a break and you'd come more into a higher rep and you work form and work maybe a different section of your training and you'd jump back.
That's something that me personally, because I've always been a endurance gal.
Yeah.
Like into high reps, low weights, pulsing it out, loving the muscle burn.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could do that 5 days in a row.
Yes.
Because my
months
body's used to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then now starting with more strength and hypertrophy work.
Yeah.
I do have to have more rest days. And I think that's just an important thing to note for people maybe wanting to transition and try something new.
True.
Because it's so taxing, you do have to allow yourself to rest because there's so many issues that can come about, whether or not they be psychological or physical, that can happen if you're trying to maintain your same training volume or load with upping your intensity. Something's going to give.
Yes, exactly. And that's a really good point. It's either high volume or high effort. It can't be both.
Yeah.
And I feel like with everyone's busy lifestyle, like why not pick something you can do 3 times a week? Like, you know?
I love when I'm real sore because I'm like, sweet, it's a rest day.
I'm done for the day.
Yeah.
And it is, very much recommended to not do consecutive days of resistance training.
Makes sense.
Which, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think I have a question that I'm sure the listeners will want to know.
Cool.
Back to the, how many should I do?
Yes. Oh, yeah, I have something else. Yeah.
What would you say is the best rep range to do?
Cool. So depends.
I know.
So
and this is where it gets...
Yeah. Where are you at? What have you been doing? What do you want? I like starting off. So if someone's really untrained, 2 sets of 12 to 15 is where I would start.
Yep.
And that's other people might have different opinions. That's my reasoning. 2 times 12 for not long, 2 weeks. Then I would like to shift that. I then do 3 or 4 sets of 8.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm mentally too tired for 4 sets. Like I just can't get a 4 set done. So 3.
Yeah.
3 times 8 of whatever you're doing. And then if you want to, come down more into like 5 sets of 5.
Yeah. Yep.
What I have a comment on from there is I would only do, currently what I've been doing is only compound lifts would I do a 5x5 rep range on. So deadlifts, squats, bench press are your 3 main ones.
So compound are the ones that use more muscle groups? Is that the idea?
More muscle joints typically.
Okay.
So squat using hips, knees, ankles.
Yes.
Versus a leg extension where you're only using your knee joint.
Okay.
Yeah. So something that I'm doing with my clients currently is if it's a single muscle thing, single joint.
i.e. bicep curl.
Yep.
Yep.
Then I am doing higher reps so that you get more of a muscle burn.
Okay.
If I'm doing a more multi-joint exercise, I would then lower. Most of my clients are on like 8s at the moment. I don't have anyone who's...
Because once again, more muscle joints has a greater rate of fatigue, so you want to make sure that you're not pushing the rep range too far.
Correct.
Because then you'll come out of form.
In a sense.
Depending on what weight you use.
Yes, exactly, in a sense. Absolutely. And then if we're talking like functional...
The amount of people... What episode is that?
I can't remember. Not too long ago.
Yeah, probably mid. The amount of people that sent me a message saying, I was in the car with my popcorn. If you haven't listened to the episode, we'll share it on our Instagram.
Someone was like, as if you and Abby had an argument on an episode. I was like, no way.
It was a discussion.
Hot debate. No.
Continue. You said the word. I want to hear it.
Then I'm thinking I feel like I want you to be able to use all your joints in a coordinated fashion to be able to take more in that sense. So like I'm thinking lift a couch or hold something up while husband screws it in. Like it's
I'm smiling because in my head I'm like, functional activities.
They're my 2 goals at the moment. I want to be able to hold the wood beam up while Isaac screws it in. Because typically I get so tired and I can't. So I'm getting better at holding stuff up for him while he does home renos. And I want to be able to help him move stuff around. Which typically, so like this is like once effort kind of thing. Right?
Holding up a beam.
Something up.
Yeah.
And then same, like if you're moving a sofa, like you lift it up, put it down.
Yeah.
So I want to be able
max.
to, yeah, exactly, pretty much. So, I mean, how heavy is your sofa? You know what I'm talking about. So I'm thinking that I'd like you to have a really high buffer zone for activities like that versus unpacking the groceries where I'm like picking something up, putting it down, picking something up, putting it down. I need to do over and over. Yeah. So I might train that in a higher rep.
Yeah. That's so good. I love how exercise brain works.
This is what I think of you with nutrition. This is like, how is your brain working right now?
Picking up groceries is endurance exercise, everyone. 15 reps of carrot to bench top.
Not necessarily, and that's not really true either, because I want you to be able to pick up something heavy once. So, this is where I get all, tied up, because I can argue so many aspects of it.
But I think it might come down to just variety and including both compound and isolation exercises in your workout programming, which a professional can help you with and until you get comfortable with yourself. Yeah. But I know that's what I do when I plan my workouts, plan at least 3 compound things and then work into isolation movements. So I've got that full spectrum, and then I can train the strength with the compound and then more endurance with the isolation if I like the muscle burn.
Yep. And the isolation has more of a prehab notion to it as far as you're reducing risk of injury in your weak spots that you know are weak.
Yes.
Yep. Just jumping back, something like calf raises, I love to do lower reps. So, you
2.
can just,
I'm done.
So you can look at anyway. But correct. So I would start with a multi-joint movement and then work into your single joints. Unless I'm wanting to pre-fatigue someone for their compound movement, then I might start with the single joint, more of a warm-up activation-y
I was
going to
say activation.
Yep. If I know someone has trouble feeling or using a particular area, then I might do something like that. But typically you prioritize first what your goal is. And usually we're trying to get people to prioritize compound lifts because of their functional nature.
And also because they use more CNS energy. So if you fatigued yourself too much with your more isolation exercises, then went into a compound,
you're more at risk of fatigue and then therefore injury.
So would you almost say I'm just thinking lower body session, activation, get some band abductions going, then compound, do some squats, deadlifts, etc., and then move on to some abduction work and things like that. So 3 aspects.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Doesn't always need to be glutes. Like with you, when your moon boot was on, you kind of lost that feeling of quads. Yeah. So we started with single leg extensions as your burnout. Then we took it into, I think we did sissy squats or the reverse Nordics or whatever we did. But exactly. So I started you out with a single thing, which allows you to feel muscle. Yeah. I have a client who was really, really scared of squats for not really any reason except she was told. So we started out with single joint things. I wanted her to feel her quads. Then we did a curl. I wanted her to feel that her hamstrings were there. We then did a glute bridge or something. I wanted to feel her glutes. And then we did a sit to stand. Yeah. So that she had more confidence feeling all those muscles first so that then she could do the compound. That was our main goal.
Yeah. So beautiful.
Yeah. Lots of different ways.
Yeah.
But not really any wrong way. At the end of the day, if you're working out, you're doing resistance training, you're a step ahead of not doing resistance training.
Yeah.
Less injury risk with higher reps, which I think is why it's kind of been popular because you're next to no injury except overtraining, and most people don't do enough for that. So it is lower risk, but maybe lower benefit.
Yeah, well, typically, as we discussed. Yeah.
So it does feel amazing to lift heavier stuff. So I usually, within reason and within what my clients want, I usually will encourage that.
Yeah, we kind of chatted about this before we started recording. I kind of think of reps, sets, etc. as all different types of diets. Yeah. So, with your exercise muscle fatigue in order to create a stimulus for muscle growth is the goal. Yeah. Whereas if you're dieting for weight loss, a calorie deficit is the goal. So with diets, it all kind of comes back to putting yourself in a calorie deficit. There's not one right way. The right way for you depends on your goals, your lifestyle, your past experience.
What you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like exercise.
Yeah.
So all of those reps and sets depends on you, where you're at, what you like.
Yeah.
And then, creating muscle fatigue in some way, whether or not that's low load, high reps or high load, low reps.
Yeah.
You'll kind of get there.
Exactly. Yeah. Really what we're looking for is intensity. You want whatever workout you do to be hard in whatever way that means it's hard.
Yeah.
For change to happen, we need to go above the level of every day. So if your workout is too easy, our bodies are really good at being efficient and just like doing what it needs to do. So we need to go above that level in our workouts to create change.
Yeah.
So be intense and purposeful with whatever you do, and it's a pretty good place to start. Then
don't just go through the motions. Feel it.
Absolutely.
Know what you're working and why.
And then more than likely you'll get the taste of it and you'll want to find out more. Whether that's because of the aesthetic changes feeding back to making you feel good, or without them just feeling really accomplished with what you're doing anyway. Because it's really rewarding to do something consistently.
It is.
I think a lot of us are losing that at the moment. So to be able to stick to something is quite nice.
And we're at a lockdown, just side note,
a
lot of us are losing it at the moment.
This week working out in masks. I haven't done it yet. Today's going to be my first workout in a mask. It's going to suck.
I have worked out in a mask. I've taught classes in a mask.
I've taught classes. I've worked and taught with Anna. Like, this is hard enough without exercising.
Like, in my head, I think altitude training.
Yeah, that's
I was like, people strive for this. They go into chambers, they go on hikes, and I was like, I'm an athlete. That's what I think.
Still not looking forward to it.
It's going to be interesting.
So all the more to you if you worked out this week with a mask on. Very, very proud of you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing. How good will it feel when we don't have masks?
It's going to be so nice. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Hopefully it goes that way.
That was a good chat.
And if you're, in like UK or somewhere where it's been there for ages, I feel for you.
Honestly.
It's been 5 days and we're like, ugh.
I know. We need to get it together. We need to look at the big picture, Shelby, don't we?
Holistic view always.
Yeah. Love it.
Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully that gave you clarification of some sort.
Yeah.
And please just, message us if you have more specific details. We have a moveyourmind.podcast Instagram page now. So we're both on that, so we can both answer questions. Turnsounds@gmail.com. You can also plug in at turnsounds.com. And that's where you can support us with a little bit of money. And we will give you extra content. And
what's on the agenda for this
episode,
Chels?
I haven't prepared it yet. I don't know. I'm going to have to decide. I'll come up with something.
Okay.
It'll be something workout related that will utilize what we talked about today.
Yeah.
So maybe a workout with a few different rep ranges in it for different muscles.
You can test them out and see how your body feels after.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know what you do.
Like it.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.